Where did we come from? This is the question that has captivated humanity since the dawn of consciousness. Are we the product of billions of years of random chance, or the masterpiece of an intelligent creator? Tonight, we're diving into the ultimate debate that has divided scientists and thinkers for over a century. Evolution versus creation. Random chance versus intelligent design. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of the world's leading scientists, after spending their entire careers studying the building blocks of life, came to a shocking conclusion. The very code of life itself, the DNA in every cell, contains evidence that challenges everything we thought we knew. By the end of this video, you'll see evidence from both sides and discover why this debate is far from settled. Let's begin with Darwin's revolutionary theory. In 1859, Charles Darwin changed the world with On the Origin of Species. His idea was revolutionary yet simple. All life descended from common ancestors through natural selection. The mechanism works like this. Organisms produce more offspring than can survive. Those with beneficial random mutations survive and reproduce. Over millions of years, these changes accumulate, creating new species. This is evolution by natural selection. We've seen it happen. Bacteria develop antibiotic resistance. Finches develop different beaks. Moths change color. This microevolution is observable and real. But Darwin went further. He proposed macroevolution, that these small changes could create entirely new body plans. Fish to amphibians. Reptiles to birds. Land mammals to whales. Just chemistry, time, and natural selection. No designer needed. But here's the first problem. If evolution is gradual, where's the evidence in the fossils? And how could something as complex as a living cell arise from chemicals? Remember these questions, because we're coming back to them. Darwin himself admitted the biggest challenge to his theory. If species evolved gradually, the fossil record should be filled with transitional forms. Creatures showing step-by-step progression from one species to another. Darwin believed future discoveries would prove him right. But 160 years later, the fossil record tells a different story. Species appear fully formed, remain unchanged for millions of years, then disappear. The smooth, gradual transitions Darwin predicted are rare exceptions. Then there's the Cambrian explosion. About 540 million years ago, most major animal groups appeared suddenly in just 10 to 20 million years. Complex creatures with eyes, nervous systems, and body plans appearing without clear ancestors. For billions of years, life was simple. Then boom, an explosion of complexity. Could this sudden appearance point to a designer? That's what creationists argue. If evolution is true, life must have emerged from non-life. In 1952, the Miller-Urey experiment seemed to prove this possible. They mixed simple chemicals, added electricity, and produced amino acids, the building blocks of proteins. This was celebrated as proof life could arise naturally. But here's what they don't tell you. Amino acids are nowhere near a living cell. A cell contains DNA, proteins, molecular machines, and information systems more complex than our best computers. Producing amino acids is like finding iron or in claiming you've built a car. The gap between simple molecules and a living cell is enormous. And we now know the experiment didn't even simulate early Earth conditions accurately. Can random chemistry truly produce life's staggering complexity? Or does complexity point to a designer? That's what we'll explore next. Let me introduce Dr. Francis Collins. He led the Human Genome Project, mapping all 3 billion base pairs of human DNA. He's a top-tier scientist with unquestionable credentials. And he used to be an atheist. Collins believed science could explain everything. God was unnecessary, a relic of humanity's ignorant past. But then something happened. As he studied the human genome, as he examined the intricate code underlying all life, he began to doubt his atheism. Collins wrote The Language of God, describing his journey. He calls DNA a language, a code written in 4 letters, A, T, G, and C. This code contains instructions to build and operate every cell in your body. It's an information system of breathtaking sophistication. And here's what struck him. Codes always come from minds. Language comes from intelligent beings. Software comes from programmers. Information systems are always products of intelligence. So why should DNA be different? Why assume the most sophisticated code in the universe arose by accident? This led Collins to faith. He concluded the God who created the universe also wrote the language of DNA. And he's not alone. Hundreds of scientists have reached the same conclusion after studying life at its deepest level. Biochemist Michael B. introduced a powerful concept called irreducible complexity. a system requiring all its parts to function, where removing any component makes it completely useless. His favorite example is the bacterial flagellum, a microscopic rotary motor that bacteria use to swim. It spins at 100,000 revolutions per minute with a stator, rotor, drive shaft, and propeller. It's made of about 40 different proteins, each essential for function. Here's the problem for evolution. What good is a partial flagellum? A motor without a propeller? A propeller without a drive shaft? None. It's useless. Evolution should eliminate useless structures, not preserve them. According to Darwin, the flagellum must have evolved through functional intermediates. But intermediate stages provide no survival advantage. B argues the only explanation is intelligent design. Just as a mousetrap needs a designer, the bacterial flagellum needs an intelligent creator. Life is filled with such machines. The ribosome, ATP synthase, the blood clotting cascade, all exhibit irreducible complexity. All challenge gradual evolution. All point to design. Remember that sudden burst of complex life 540 million years ago? From the creationist view, this isn't a problem, it's evidence. It's exactly what you'd expect from a designer creating life in waves. The fossil record shows sudden appearances and long stability. Major groups appear fully formed with sophisticated features, remain stable for millions of years, then disappear. This looks less like a gradually branching tree and more like separately created kinds. Genesis describes God creating animals according to their kinds. Not one cell evolving into everything, but distinct kinds created separately, each capable of variation, but maintaining its essential form. The fossil record supports this pattern of discrete creation. The argument for design isn't just biological. It comes from the universe itself. The universe is governed by fundamental constants: gravity, electromagnetic force, nuclear forces, the cosmological constant. These determine how matter and energy behave. And they're fine-tuned to an astonishing degree. If any were slightly different, life couldn't exist. Not just human life. Any life. The universe would be sterile and dead. Take gravity. If stronger by 1 part in 10 to the 40th power, stars would burn too fast. If weaker, stars wouldn't form. No stars means no heavy elements, no chemistry, no life. Or the cosmological constant, fine-tuned to 1 part in 10 to the 120th power. That's 120 decimal places of precision. Imagine firing a bullet across the observable universe and hitting a 1-inch target. That's the precision we're talking about. When you consider all constants together, the probability of a life-permitting universe by chance is essentially zero. Even atheist physicists acknowledge this fine-tuning. Their response? The multiverse theory. Countless universes with different constants, and we happen to be in a lucky one. But there's no evidence for other universes. It's speculation invented to avoid the design inference. The simpler explanation? The universe was tuned by a tuner. By an intelligent mind who set the constants precisely to allow life. By a creator who wanted us to exist. The fine-tuning of the universe. The information in DNA. Irreducible complexity. The Cambrian explosion. All point in the same direction. Toward intelligence. Toward design. DNA isn't just a molecule. It's a message. 3 billion base pairs of information in every cell. If printed, it would fill 1,600-page books. And this information isn't random. It's specified, functional, organized. Information theorists have a rule. Specified complex information always comes from intelligence. Always. In language, computer code, mathematics, everywhere. When we find complex information, we infer intelligence. In archaeology, in SETI, in cryptography. So why hesitate when we find it in DNA? Why assume the most sophisticated information system in the universe is the exception? The answer isn't scientific. It's philosophical. A commitment to naturalism, the idea that science must only consider natural explanations, even when evidence points elsewhere. But science should follow evidence wherever it leads. And for many scientists, it leads to design, to a mind behind the molecules, to God in the DNA. As Francis Collins said, the God of the Bible is also the God of the genome. He can be worshipped in the cathedral or in the laboratory. So, where does this leave us? We've looked at the evidence from both sides. We've heard the atheist case that life is the product of time, chance, and natural selection. We've heard the creationist case that life bears the unmistakable signature of intelligent design. The atheist says the universe is a happy accident, that we're the result of blind forces acting on random variations over billions of years. The creationist says the universe is a creation, that we're the intentional product of a mind that wanted us to exist. Who's right? That's not for me to tell you. That's for you to decide. But consider this. Every day, you make inferences about design. When you see a painting, you infer a painter. When you read a book, you infer an author. When you use your smartphone, you infer engineers and programmers. You don't assume these things arose by accident, because their complexity, their functionality, their information content, all point to intelligent design. So why should the cell, which is more complex than any smartphone, be any different? Why should DNA, which contains more information than any book, be assumed to have no author? Why should the fine-tuned universe, which is more precisely calibrated than any machine, be considered an accident? The evidence is there. In the fossil record. In the molecular machinery of life. In the genetic code. In the constants of physics. In the origin of the universe itself. The question is not whether the evidence exists. The question is whether you're willing to follow it to its logical conclusion. Are we the result of purposeless forces operating on random mutations over vast stretches of time? Or are we the intended creation of an intelligence beyond our comprehension? Are we cosmic accidents, or are we created in the image of God? The choice is yours. But choose wisely. Because this isn't just an academic debate. This is a question that touches the very meaning of your existence. If we're accidents, then life has no ultimate purpose, no objective meaning, no cosmic significance. We're just organized matter that will eventually return to dust. But if we're created, then everything changes. Then life has purpose. Then you have value not because of what you do or what you achieve, but because of who made you. Then death is not the end, but a doorway. Then the universe is not silent, but speaks of its creator with every star, every cell, every molecule of DNA. The evidence is on the table. The question is before you. What will you choose? What do you believe? Is there a God who wrote himself into the fabric of reality, into the code of life itself? Or are we alone in a universe that doesn't care whether we exist? Think about it, research it, and make up your own mind. Because this is the most important question you'll ever answer. And the answer you give will shape everything else you believe about life, purpose, meaning, and destiny. Thank you for watching. If this video made you think, if it challenged you, if it opened your mind to new possibilities, leave a comment. Tell me what you believe and why. Subscribe for more content that explores the deepest questions of human existence. And remember, the truth is out there. The question is whether you're brave enough to pursue it, wherever it may lead.